for stepping in for Deborah. When Deborah arrived here, I think very quickly she established a reputation for being a respected and a very effective member of the Legislative Assembly. But tonight, of course, the focus is not on Deborah the politician, it's Deborah the wife, and I want to wish her and her husband every good wish as they prepare to welcome their first child and start that family. If I may indulge me, I'm going to start with a general point. When I first stood here 15 months ago as Health Minister, I said I wanted to be judged, and I wanted to judge myself on are my words and my actions delivering better outcomes. Better outcomes for patients, better outcomes for service users, better outcomes for the 70-odd thousand glorious staff who deliver health and social care. I was also very encouraged that everybody, and I mean everybody who came up to me said, if you're going to make the big difficult decisions, we will support you. That's not always the case once we get into the nuts and bolts and the specifics. And one of the things I regret, and I'm encouraging people in health and social care to fix, is sometimes a change has been allowed to be perceived in the public consciousness as not delivering better outcomes, but as a cost-saving measure. And I am not interested in doing that. But I do have to accept that in recent years, health's proportion of the overall executive budget has gone up from 46% to over 50%, and that direction of travel is not sustainable. It's not sustainable, because every pound we spend in health is a pound not spent by the other departments on tackling the social determinants of health inequalities and ill health. So we all have to work together. And I was very pleased Mrs. Dodds acknowledged that sometimes we rightly, and it's our duty to put a focus on what is wrong and what goes wrong in health and social care delivery, but sometimes we don't put a focus on what goes right. And of course, in the majority of cases, on a daily basis, thousands of appointments, diagnoses and procedures go very well for people. I don't prescribe or buy into the idea that the health service is broken, but I do know many of the pathways to access health and social care are broken. And I think that's an important distinction. So, moving to today's debate, I'll attempt to address some of the points raised. The SWA, the South West Acute Hospital, serves a significant portion of the Western Health and Social Care Trust population, which is approximately 300,000 people, a very significant proportion of our people. The population of Fermanagh and Ober Council is estimated at 118,000 from the 2021 census. And from taking up office, I've had the pleasure of visiting the SWA on various occasions. A few weeks ago was the most recent one, when I talked to some patients and staff. I visit many hospitals and healthcare facilities. I always get a sense and a feel just walking in the door. Is it a good feeling? Is it, maybe it's the air being sucked out of me? I always get a really good feeling in the SWA, a really modern, a great facility. But I say this often, to deliver healthcare, you need buildings, you need beds, you need equipment, you need medicine, but all that counts for nothing if you don't have the right staff, qualified and motivated. And that's where the problem began with this issue. We talked about the extra theatre and bed space. It has the potential to do more, and I absolutely want to see it doing more. And let's remember, and I think Diana Armstrong made the point, it's never been busier. It's never been more productive, and it has the potential to do even more because of those two uncommissioned theatres and beds. So I'm very keen to do more at the SWA, but let me move to the specific of emergency general surgery. So in November 2022, the Trust made the decision to temporarily suspend EGS. That was for patient safety reasons and, due to issues of staffing challenges. Now, I understand the concern caused by the Trust's decision. I consider the protection of patients from adverse clinical outcomes has to be my most important duty. Has to be, to make sure patients are safe. Now, the decision was taken at a time when there was no minister in post, and the Trust stated their ability to safely staff and operate an emergency 24/7 rota for surgical care was inadequate and unsafe. And I stress this point to remind members of the genesis of that decision. Subsequently, the Trust ran a public consultation exercise on the temporary suspension, and the findings were published in July 2023. The strength of local feeling and indeed opposition to the suspension was clear. However, in lieu of the inability of the Trust to stand up safe services and satisfy the clinical general surgery standards, the reconfigured Altnagelvin-led service remained in place. So members have mentioned RQIA in 2024. They were alerted to some concerns. They came from clinicians, so they had to be listened to. Clinicians within the Trust were concerned regarding the robustness of the pathways up to Altnagelvin. The Department of Health team asked RQIA to conduct a robust investigation and report back on their effectiveness and sustainability. We got that report in the spring of this year. The outcome was presented at the Health Committee by RQIA officers on the 13th of March, alongside a response from the Western Trust. And essentially, there were 10 recommendations for the short and medium term to be made in regard to further refinement and improvement of the pathways. And while most of these have been achieved, some remained outstanding and needed to be strengthened. And the Strategic Planning and Performance Group, the performance management arm of my department, works with the Trust on a monthly basis to monitor progress and provide me with assurance that matters are being adequately addressed. Now, Mrs Dodds said that there was an issue at Altnagelvin, that it too was under pressure. I would say to her, every single hospital in the health and social care network, every single facility, every single worker is under pressure. So our hospitals right across the region, they're facing challenges and pressures. And indeed, we're not an outlier. This is the position right across the UK. But a small population of 1.9 million means specialist services are innately difficult to fund and maintain on a region-wide. You can't put them in every hospital. And I've made this point about the network. We have to come to realise not every hospital will offer every procedure. And in terms of safety, if the procedure you need is being performed by your nearest hospital once a week, but 20 or 30 miles away, the next hospital is doing it 10 times a day, 5 days a week, where are you going to go? Obviously, it's going to be safer to go to where it's done more frequently. I've got a lot to get through, so I'm sorry, because I do want to make some responses here. Mrs Dodds normally asks me about 5,000 questions. I'm going to answer 4 of them. I've done Altnagelvin. You talked about an awareness of the implication of rural healthcare delivery. I just assure Mrs Dodds we do rural impact assessments as well as equality assessments. The SOAS roadmap is interesting. I think you were wondering what my view of that was. I don't think it would be appropriate, because I don't want to be confused for the chair or the chief executive of the Western Trust. They have to make this decision, not me. I will be the person who signs off or does not sign off on the decision they come to. But that's that. And the 2 uncommissioned theatres and wards, yes, we're looking at them in terms of dealing with our waiting lists initiatives. Now, Mr McCrossan very kindly said I'm a man of plain speaking. He's now about to become a victim of it. Because you did say, in terms of this is a brand new hospital and it's shocking we're discussing its future. We're not. Not as to whether it has a future or not. It has a future. We're only discussing one, albeit very important, service. So what I want for the SWA and for everyone else is any patient who goes there to get safe and timely attention and treatment, and to be allowed the basic courtesies which are absent, particularly in our emergency departments, of holding on to your privacy and holding on to your dignity. And so I want to finish, Mr Speaker, by just welcoming all the people who have come up for Fermanagh, and I applaud you for your continued interest and determination to do what you think is right for yourselves and for your community, and I promise I will try and do my best for you. And may I just finish by thanking you for coming up, welcoming you here, and wishing you a safe journey home.
Thank you very much indeed, Minister. And before I conclude the debate, may I pass on to Deborah and her family in particular, and I will be in contact with her because it was only Friday when I saw her last, and she was definitely sort of blooming and happy to do that as well. To those in the galleries, please drive safe home tonight, and to those of you who have got long distances as well, please drive safe home, and thank you very much indeed for the debate. The Assembly is now adjourned. Thank you.